Hey, chiropractic students and recent grads, how successful could you be if you had a resource that clarified your vision, helped you develop a plan, saved you money, time, and heartache, shortened your learning curve, and helped you become profitable your first few months after opening? The Chiro Planner is here. More than just a journal, it's a guide to creating and launching your chiropractic practice in 100 days. It's jam-packed with tools, tips, ideas, action steps, resources, and inspiring quotes from some of the top chiropractors and entrepreneurs in the world today. Think of it as your own personal mentor, inspiring you, answering your questions, helping you to set goals, and advising you on the many unknowns of opening a practice. Go to www.chiroplanner.com today and save 40% by taking advantage of pre-launch pricing.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo Podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Rikard Day.
Yes, I am Dr. Rikard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo Podcast. Hey there, thanks so much for checking in with me. I am thrilled, as usual, that you are here. Well, you know, chiropractic has an international reach. We are all over the globe, and I love talking to chiropractors who are really involved in that scene. And so today on the show, I have got Dr. Rikard, and I believe it's Börjesson. I am not exactly sure. So I'm going to call him Dr. Rikard. He graduated from Palmer in 1998, and he travels to Peru every year, providing free chiropractic care to people in need, delivering Gonstead and Tonal Chiropractic. He had been practicing in Sweden for over 15 years and opened up a clinic in Arequipa, Peru, now that one I can pronounce, in 2010. He belongs to the first graduating class of the Legion of Chiropractic Philosophers. This was the class of 2000, and he believes in subluxation based care, and he believes that chiropractic is needed for all ages and at all stages of life. Let's welcome Dr. Rikard. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, all the way from Chicago.
Well, hello, Dr. Rick. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. We are thrilled to have you here and to hear more about what it is you are working on. Before we get started, though, I would like to invite you to jump in and fill in any of the gaps in your bio that I may have missed.
No, it's just an addition to the end, and that's, I guess, the main reason why we're talking. It's the new project. It's called Chiropractic Without Limits.
Yeah, I am eager to jump into that. That sounds exciting, and I think that what you guys are doing is going to be really exciting for people who are listening to this show. Before we get there, though, I want to start with why. It's such an important question. Each of us comes to chiropractic differently through the experiences of our lives. What is it that made you decide to become a chiropractor?
Well, I'm a native Swede, and I have the fortune to go to school, undergrad in the States. And when I was there, one of my schoolmates, he was already accepted at Palmer. And that was actually the first time that I heard about chiropractic. And just when he started talking about helping people without drugs, it was just, that's what I want to do. And I haven't looked back. It's the more I learn about it and get into it, the more I just love it. And it's pretty much a philosophy compared to a lot of others. I had issues, but it's a philosophy. That's my draw to the profession.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic thing. You know, I talk to students all the time, and I ask them that very same question: why did you decide to become a chiropractor and pursue chiropractic? And I heard a great story today about someone whose father, who's actually a chiropractor, and he came to it because he had been injured, like a lot of people. I hear this story a lot, and wasn't getting help from the medical community, and decided to try something different, and got a ton of help from being a chiropractor, or from being treated by a chiropractor. He chose to become one. His son is one. His sister is one. I mean, you know, it just goes on from there. It's always so fascinating to me to figure out what makes people do the things we do, because, you know, we're not utilized, unfortunately, here in the States, and I think worldwide, as much as we ought to be. So that brings us to our next topic, and that is chiropractic without limits. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's the new project that I really have a passion for. It's more like an outreach clinic that I'm about to start up. So it's a way to get students, not just students, I would say tours, to really get back into the philosophy and have that as applied philosophy. How can you use it the why behind what we're doing, and then also add to that to do the art. How do we adjust? And I think to really get down to it is the kids. That's our future. So it's focused on helping kids in Peru by opening up an outreach clinic down there for them.
So what was it about Peru that attracted you to go there?
There's always a woman behind a man, right?
Right.
So my wife is from Peru.
Well, that helps. Certainly, sort of an inside connection, right, with the people there and everything like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how long have you been down in Peru?
First time was there in 97, while I was still in school. I graduated in 98, and just fell in love with the country. I mean, it's a land of contrasts. And then we've been going back, even though we moved to Sweden about 2001, we always been traveling back to about once a year. So it's my wife's family is still there. So it's just a great country. Being European, we usually say the Irish is the people's people. And that's pretty much what you can say about the Peruvians in South America. I mean, they are fantastic people to just be around. Not to mention the food. His food is amazing too.
Oh yeah, that never hurts.
No.
Well, what is healthcare like in Peru? Do they have a system? Do they have traditional Western medicine? Really, what is going on in the healthcare system down there?
Well, I think it's the same as all over the world. It's not really a healthcare system. It's a sick care system. So, I mean, they have it. And again, it go back to the land of contrast. I mean, you have pretty much the best doctors are trained in Europe or in the States. You have the state of the art kind of, but then you also have none. So it depends on where you are. So it's this very contrast. I mean, you have part of Peru is the Andes, and then, I mean, that's remote areas. And then you have the jungle. So it depends on where you are.
So your clinic, where is that located, I guess? Is it more urban in that setting, or is it more in a jungle-y type setting?
No, it's urban. It's called Arequipa. It's the second largest city. It's about 1 million, and it's growing. And it's set in the south of Peru. So it has volcanoes around it and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting area, and very close to it. You have the world's deepest canyon. It's 3 times deeper than Grand Canyon, to just get an idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what are the living conditions in that area? You know, when I think of traveling to places like you're describing, I mean, I'm fairly uninformed. I have traveled some in my life, but certainly I have not been as far away as Peru, and I don't have a real good sense of it. Is the standard of living similar to the United States in the area that you are at, or is this an impoverished area?
It's again, the contrast. You have people that are very rich, and then you have people that hardly have anything. So you have definitely the contrast between it.
And what is, do you treat families primarily? Do you treat children? Is there any certain demographic, or is it anyone and everyone?
Well, no, I see chiropractic is for everybody. Because we're dealing with health. That's something we kind of forgot. We got into the treatment of things, but I see more chiropractic should be more about strengthening the health. And when you look at it, when is health important? It's important as a child, yes. It's important in mid-age, yes. Important at old age. So chiropractic should not be gender discriminating. So
when I looked into what you do down there, it sounds as if you have quite a few students who go down and help out. So tell me about what that looks like. At any given time, how many students are there? Is it primarily students? And is there, it sounds like you go down maybe just a couple times a year. Who oversees that clinic?
Yeah, no, that's, let's give you a little background there. We open up a clinic down there in 2010, and the intention of that was kind of creating something I felt missing when I graduated, a place to really do chiropractic. So you should have the support staff and all that, and the role of the new grad. There are DCs that goes down there. You have to have a degree to go down to the actual clinic to practice there or to work there. So it should be like a place where you can go down and learn the tick of chiropractic. So you learn finding the subluxation and correcting it and see it happening. An advantage also, you don't have to be able to speak Spanish, which is the language spoken in Peru mostly. Then you really need to see the power of chiropractic. You cannot talk your way out of it. So and then what we have developed. So there's been different chiropractors being there about a year at the time, since 2010. So it has been doctors that have been out for quite a few years, but most of them has been new grads that has come down and got the experience of it. And if you want a challenge, I tell you, if you want to have a satellite clinic, try to do that, because I've been living in Sweden up until now. It's kind of hard to run a satellite clinic halfway around the world. Yeah. But it's doable.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I've got a clinic here in Kansas City and one in Denver, Colorado. And just 9 hours worth of difference is a big enough challenge. So I cannot imagine, a continent or two away. That's a lot. So, well, how many people are there at any given time in terms of students who are out there treating?
We have two doctors down there working on it. But what I really want to do now is open up this new project, what we call then Chiropractic Without Limits, and that is open for students, or I would say more tours, and that students that want to be chiropractors or already DCs that actually want to be chiropractors again. So it's about opening up an outreach clinic for the really poor in that area. So kind of combining having what we're going to do is having 1 week boot camp containing chiropractic philosophy, and then also going out then and helping these ones as hands-on adjusting. And we want to keep it to small group so we can get that maximum 20 people going down there at the time. And it should be done with full background and all that. It's not just adjusting. And it's not the quantity we want to see, it's the quality. So every patient we see or kid we see down there should have a proper chiropractic journal. So we have that and can follow it.
So I want to make sure I'm getting it right. It sounds like, this isn't a student mission program. This is, you've graduated and you're out of school, and now you can come and be part of what it is you're doing.
Either way, I say it's for tours, for chiropractors. So it could be either be a student or a doctor that can come down and do this part of the program.
Okay. Well,
yeah, so it's two different things. We have the clinic down there, and that's open for graduates, and we prefer new graduates because we want to give them the opportunity to learn the profession and adjust, get in the art, because you need that skill to do it. What we're opening up now is also giving back to the society and also focus on the philosophy for the ones that want to get into more the philosophy to chiropractic.
So for the graduate, is this a paid position, or is this something that you go and you do and you donate your time?
No, let's keep it separate. The clinic down there, that's a 1 year minimum commitment, and you do get paid, but it's to gain the experience of adjusting pretty much. The other part is the outreach program is something that we're going to do 3 times a year, going down for a week at a time.
Okay.
So it's 2 different things. I want to make that clear. Right.
Yeah. And I heard you say that earlier. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm clear, and for our listeners that we're really separating out what it is you're doing there and getting that right. Well, are there any risks in going, half the globe away and treating people, for the people who go and stay with you?
No, it's, it's always a risk, but I just moved from Stockholm to Chicago, and I believe parts of Chicago is a lot more dangerous than going down to Peru.
Okay. Well, for what I read, I think you're probably right about that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know. It's just, again, it's something that us as Americans, we may not be as traveled as other people are, and it's a question that I think we might have. So you would get your passport, and you would, I would imagine, and buy your airfare and go on down there. So I guess that leads me to.
And when you get down there, then you can kind of feel it's all inclusive. We'll meet at the airport, and we'll have hotel and food and all that included and everything like that, and transportation and so forth. But you need to get to Arequipa. That's the thing.
Okay, that's the thing.
You need a passport for that.
Okay. Well, when people, if they do this, where do they live? Yeah. Do they go get an apartment? Do they rent a house? Do you have accommodations?
If we talk about the outreach program, that is for a week, that will be at a hotel, like a very nice boutique hotel. If we're talking about the clinic with down there, then the doctor is living in the clinic. So it's all inclusive then too. Yes.
Well, one of the things that we talk about in our show here is we always are looking to give advice to two sets of folks, and that is the folks who are in school now or recently graduated, and they are at the very beginning of their career. And the other group is the person who's been in practice a while, and they might be stuck. They might be looking for a new direction, something to really rekindle that flame and that passion, and push them maybe in a new direction, or maybe take a hard look at what it is they're doing today and think about making some changes. So let's address that first group first. What single piece of advice do you have for that new doc or that person who's graduated or getting ready to graduate?
I think you need to be open-minded. To do that, but also have a grounding by finding a good mentor, somebody that you can learn from, either that you like the person itself or the system that person is representing. But as you do that, you need to be open-minded, because there's one thing we can guarantee, and that is the world is always changing. So I think that's the biggest important part, that you're open-minded, you're open for changes and stuff like that, but grounded, but have somebody that you mentor from.
Now let's switch gears and talk about that established doc, the person who's been around, who maybe has seen their fair share of changes, but they're not where they want to be, and they want to go, a better direction or make things better in their practice and in their lives.
Yeah, go back to that thing again, to be open-minded. It's need to be able to reconnect where the passion is, and I think always ask the question why. And that's what makes a strength in chiropractic, because you have the philosophy that's there, the principles are there, have always been there. So that's something that they're always there to go back and look into. And that's also that was one of the things that I want to bring up, the philosophy again, because that got me into chiropractic. And I think that if we're going to be united within the profession, we need to look more into the why behind everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think personally, certainly, there's a provide income and the standard of living for our families. But I think if our why is strictly about we just want to make a lot of money, we really lose that ability to serve our patients, because we are not putting their best interest first. We're putting our best interest first, if that makes sense. And one of the things I like in that you're talking about is really finding that passion for what it is that we do and coming at it from a position of service.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to shift gears away from chiropractic now. This may have some overlap, but this can be anything and everything in life. When it comes to success and failure, we are always, nobody gets out of here without dealing with those things. And we learn a lot from our successes, but we tend to learn so much more from the challenges that we have overcome. So would you share with us something in your life that you've had that's been a challenge that you have met and overcome, and what it is you learned from it?
Well, the biggest challenge, I think, is to run a clinic halfway around the world. But doing that and be persisting about it, you see when you're down there and see the changes with people and the joy and the people that's serving down there. I mean, it's just great.
How often do you get to make that trip?
Once a year has been the norm, but now since we are starting up this new program, Chiropractic Without Limits, it's going to be 3 times a year, so it's going to be much easier to be able to handle it. And actually, we are on the same kind of timeline as well now, so we don't have the jet lag.
And how have you been able to run it so effectively from a distance?
Family. My wife's sister is the one that has been the one. She's not a chiropractor, but she has been running she's a business person, so she's been running it.
Well, let's talk about success as a concept. When you think of the word success, is there a particular person that comes to mind?
Chiropractic, I think BJ is the one that comes. Yeah, without him, we wouldn't be here talking right now.
And is there anything that you do every day, a daily habit, a ritual, an affirmation, a prayer, something that you do every day that helps guide you and keep you focused on what's important?
Walking, to be in motion, walking. Always been walking when I've been working, walking is the key for me. It's a natural thing to do. We've always been doing it, and that puts me into a good state of mind.
I really like that because, one of the things one of my instructors taught me in school was that to a joint, motion is life and life is motion. And to hear you talk about being in motion and thinking in motion, I think that's really fits well with what we do as chiropractors, not only from a health standpoint, but function standpoint as well. Well, let's talk about a few things before our time together comes to an end. We are reaching the end of this interview, but before we let you go, there's just a couple of other things I'd like to touch on. And one of them is, do you have a favorite book that you've read recently that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, I always kind of come back to Dr. Strauss' book, Enhance Your Life Experience. I think it's well written, and it's kind of mastering the part of writing a hard topic and making it possible for a layperson to understand. So I think it's always good part. You always pick up some good parts from that one.
Well, over your career, has anyone given you a piece of advice, a good piece of business advice that has stuck with you and that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, it's don't forget to work on it and not just in it. It's the classic E-Myth expression. So you get some distance to it and you get the broader view of it.
And explain that a little bit for those who maybe have not heard that before.
Okay, yeah. It's very common that as a chiropractor you get into the mode of what your passion is to adjust, and you go to your clinic and are working in the clinic and doing the things there. But you need to take time off and just look on what you're doing. So you work on the structure of the business as well. So you see that so you have a progress to it.
Well, Dr. Rick, thank you so much for spending time with us today and telling us all about what you're involved with. It's very inspirational to hear that you are bringing chiropractic to other parts of the world and you're helping a lot of folks and training chiropractors in philosophy and technique at the same time. What is the best way for people to contact you to find out more about Chiropractic Without Limits?
We have a webpage which is called simply chiropracticwithoutlimits.com. You can find us on Facebook with the same Chiropractic Without Limits. From there you can get my email or my phone number. So I'm available.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule from running a clinic half a world away to spend some time with us and share your wisdom and vision of chiropractic with our listeners.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.